We're live, ladies and gentlemen. CJ Orvin here joining me today for SLA Podcast episode 6, Uroku Seis. And then I forget in Portuguese how to say seis. I think it's just that. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have some juicy topics. We're starting off hot with probably it's not as hot right now because they've kind of died off, and it's probably going to pick up back up once the Game Awards at the end of the year come around. But Hogwarts Legacy cancel culture is the name of the title. And to give you context for our readers, our listeners and watchers and whatevers, Hogwarts Legacy came out, and the mind virus people, they don't like happiness. They don't like nostalgia. And so they attacked it, and they tried to burn it down and tell you that you're wrong and you're evil for enjoying magic and fantasy. Kids' magic and fantasy, by the way, because Harry Potter is broken when it comes to magic. Anybody can do anything as long as it advances or makes the plot thicker and better. There's no actual rules as to you have to do certain things in order to do something. You just bloodlines and good feelings and emotions, a little bit like anime in a sense, but anime it's a different story there. Oh, I opened Pandora's box.
Oh my gosh,
more real.
Yeah, right. My anthropology teacher in college, which is one of the little good things that I got out of college, and the money that went into that, but he definitely told me once he realized that the magic system in Harry Potter is just broken, he couldn't take it serious, and he just took it as, my kids like this, so I'm gonna like it too. So,
dude, I went into like the whole magic system and like different types of magic systems from like all different types of like stories and everything else, and try to like break it down myself. And Harry Potter's is probably the most like thought out and actually like even if there is things where it's just like, well, I could just do this, but it's just the magic system's bigger than any of the other ones that I've seen because there's so many other books written on it outside of the main stories. Like if you actually read those ones.
Okay, bro. All right, plot twist. All right, in the defense, playing devil's advocate, or are you for reals? Are you a mind virus? Have you infected us? Are you infiltrated?
Let's just say I had a binge of Harry Potter, like where I just like listened to all the books and then some of the other side stuff.
Then people in the comments either join Orvin here or stay with me in my anthropology professional college degree graduate professor side of things. But that'll be fun. The comment section, go at it. Let us know. Is the magic system in Harry Potter just broken? Or is it actually complex and hierarchical and actually scientific in sense? Or, it works.
Scientific, it's magic. You can't say scientific, but you can say logical.
Logical. There we go. That's the word I was looking for all along. But the thing with Hogwarts Legacy canceling cancel culture, the game has sold as of a couple weeks or a month ago or something like that. I lost track of the topic because I can't afford the game yet, and time and money-wise. And so I'm going to have to wait on that one. But it sold 12 million copies. We're talking 12 million. All right, give me a second. Let me pull out my algebra calculator. That's 100,000. It's easy to get to 1 million on a calculator. I forget. I'm usually talking billions here. Times $70. $84 million. $84 million.
That's not even including like the in-game stuff that people buy either, right?
I don't even know if it has in-game yet. Does it?
Yeah. It has cosmetic related stuff, I think.
Dude,
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm speaking out of my butt right now, but I'm pretty sure it has cosmetic. I thought it did, but I know they have certain related like different games has their own like unique cosmetic related to buying it on
DLC.
like a PC or
Doesn't have
buying it on a
multiplayer,
Xbox or
which
PlayStation.
should, in my opinion. Of course, the PC Master Race God wannabes are there with their pistol mods and all that good stuff. Love it, love it. I mean,
Oh, this skin's gonna get modded so much. I hope
it's
so.
like the game sold good. Like we mentioned a couple times in the episode, if you've been listening for a while, it's like God of War syndrome. It's good stuff. And yes, and then I have a different topic that I've actually that with Atomic Heart, the game that just recently came out. But that one's for next week because it's a development story. But I think we're good on that one. But Hogwarts Legacy, if you went on Twitter, there were some people that just they created a website where you would show up and the website would take traffic to someone streaming the game so you could go yell at them and tell them how evil they were. And you could do stroke your virtual signaling shaft. And exactly. Make yourself feel good that you've killed religion, you've killed your family traditions, and so this is all you got. Point at someone else and say how broken their system is and how broken their life is, because you ain't got one. So what else are you gonna do? But
I remember when I hopped on Twitter and I saw the tweets and I was thinking, transphobe. Like, wait, did she make this game? I'm so confused. J.K. Rowling, how is she even involved in this game? Aside from having made the character at one point, like, what, 40, 30 years ago?
yeah,
Because, I
that's
mean,
true.
Harry Potter, the first movie came out, what, almost 15, 20 years ago?
Holy crap,
Yep.
early 2000s. No, was it?
Yeah.
Dang.
But
Yeah.
then the book came out before that. So it's like,
That's
okay.
true. That napkin got written long time before there was even Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 3.
Yeah. And by the way, there are in-game purchases for Legacy,
Okay.
specifically cosmetic, and like there's one that's like dark arts and whatnot. But to me, it's like, okay, so like, so did you guys watch Fantastical Mr. or Fantastical Beasts or whatever it was called?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The any of the three, or you're talking?
Yeah, any of them.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't those get canceled?
Because they're not that good, and compared to the originals, and
Valid.
because Ganondorf. What the f? It's Ganondorf. I'm jumping all over the multiverse over here.
Here comes Ganondorf into the wizarding
Gandalf,
world.
man. Gandalf.
I'll pay
Came
to
out of
see
the
that
closet.
mod. Let's go.
So we just gotta defend that. Yeah, it's the game. So like, I think to kind of finish, because we're on the last 2 minutes on this one. It's the noise levels were crazy. It felt like the hard left was going McCarthyism and on the right, and or even not the right, because it's just normal people, man, having normal crap magic stuff. It's like
That is right now.
it's like if you want to talk politics, I would say Fitchin Star Wars has more politics than Harry Potter, at least the movie speaking, not speaking for the books. So if you want to talk about a franchise that involves more political stuff, well, Star Wars has a lot more than Harry Potter. Fitchin Halo has more than it. It's just, it's bad, but. Yeah, McCarthyism, like in the 1950s, is what I came up to look up to what people were kind of doing there. Canceling everybody just because you technically participated in something that was looked controversial. But yeah, that's Harry Potter.
Well,
I think it's good. Yeah, go ahead before we finish.
so on that though, is that they didn't do any of their research when it came to, like, for example, what was the reason behind everything? Well, it's because J.K. Rowling has certain views about transgenders and them not being real women. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're like, well, let's attack her. And this game's coming out, and she's getting revenue from it. But then they're like, you do realize that she's probably already gotten paid out for this.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like, I think they might have, I think it was that they do initial like payout to her to be able to even create the game
Oh yeah, they
for
have to
this. So she
license
already
it.
got paid for that. And then I think after she gets a percentage of the sales,
Like
and
a
I don't know how
royalty.
big that percentage is, something they agree on,
Yeah.
but it's just like she's already gotten paid, and then she's getting the extra stuff, and it's like you're just trying to cancel it, but it's like she's already gotten paid tons of money. So like I don't know what you're trying to cancel her for. Like
Yeah, it's
she's
like,
probably one of the hardest people you could probably even go after.
oh yeah, her fan base and it's just, I mean, the content she's
Diehards,
created.
yeah.
It's not really political. It's kind of kiddish.
Maybe,
Well,
maybe
there
political in
was
the
certain
wizard world.
political aspects that were put in later, which is for a different story because I don't think it's canon.
I like that. I like that the Harry Potter hole is bigger. The Harry Potter rabbit hole. Watch it, Alice. Don't trip and fall in that hole. Don't follow the rabbit.
That's where the magic is.
So the other topic that I would like to discuss here in the podcast though today is kind of, we talked a little bit about this last time with the 10,000 hour rule and whatnot, which by the way, at church, someone actually mentioned the 10,000 hour rule in their talk that weekend after we filmed the podcast.
It's because they heard the podcast.
That's what I thought. And so the topic is, ladies and gentlemen, let me quote it right from the podcast here. Stop wasting time writing YouTube video scripts. Embrace AI before it's too late.
Well, I don't think that even applies to just YouTube video scripts. Like, when I was looking at that article, I was like, I think that applies to everything. Well, stop doing the homework. Stop. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. You know those essays that you have to write? Well, just chat or the
Chat
AI.
GPT.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with those chat GPTs. I had, so creating, everybody, to give you context, streamingliveacademy.com, the website hosting SLA. I write the articles and use AI for those, and many people do it, but it's still not good enough that it'll write an entire essay or article and someone's going to read it and not feel something geeky or feel awkward or disconnected. It's still not there. I've tried Poe, ChatGPT, Jasper, and other ones, and they all do the same. There's just weird stuff. Especially the more newer stuff you get, the weirder it gets. But, for example, OpenAI, to give people context on this one, I watched a documentary about OpenAI and how Elon Musk and other three dudes, if I remember right, or two dudes, founded it. And the main goal Elon Musk said to make it was to expand humanity and make humans better through AI and whatnot. And it was non-profit. But it's real world, real life. And so it didn't work out. It was too expensive. They bring in some numbers that to simulate a Dota match with the OpenAI bot AI yeah, they did they wanted to simulate 100 and something years worth of game, but they were with even their high end, like they brought in 250 CPUs and 150 GPUs or something like that. I can't remember. They were only able to simulate per day, I think, a few days worth of actual matches. So to reach their goal of 100 and something years, it's not feasible with that setup. So anyway, that's to give you context. Microsoft comes along with their $1 or $10 billion deal, but they also give them access to the world's fifth most powerful computer. And so in it, they're able to just simulate millions and millions better incrementally than whatever they were able to do before. And so, but Microsoft's, money. Microsoft loves money.
Oh, yeah.
You like money too, don't you, Warren?
What the heck?
Do you like money, CJ?
2 seconds. Everyone enjoys their money.
Money.
Money. Exactly. And so, yeah. And so OpenAI now is pretty much for profit, and it's just going to get monetized. And that was not, Elon Musk has also, what's it called? Condemned the approach. He sees it as it's not the original goal, but it is what it is. Of course, not even he could fund it to, I mean, he doesn't have the world's fifth number world's best supercomputer back in his shed and told the engineers, hey, go in there and play around with it. So, what I'm trying to point at is either in the next 6 to 12 months, I think, the worst case scenario, probably another year and a half, too, but I think it's going to be a year. We're going to see this thing exponentially just blow up. It's going to be able to, in 6 to 12 months, it's going to make you that essay, and it's going to be better than most writers. Of course.
I give it 6 months.
Yeah.
With a little bit of human touch.
Exactly. And the human touch on my articles, I would say it still is about, depending on the article topic, 50% still is my work. And some of them it is 70%. It's just not, at least to my writing. But then again, you know how I talk in my analogies, so the computer's probably like, how are you connecting this? Oh, it makes no
Brain
sense.
can't compute. Okay, we barely could compute them together too.
Exactly. And so maybe it is on my end. I don't know. You guys tell me. Have you have any experiences, CJ or Orman, with ChatGPT?
Well,
computer stuff?
I've
Go at
had
it.
experiences with the chat that I was using, Poe, which I think is just a derivative from ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think it uses the same language-based model.
Yeah. So I was using that to kind of like study for a test.
Ooh,
I was like,
academic.
So you have like a question, right? You ask it, and then it will pull out like kind of like the answer for the question, but then also give you kind of a description. The description aspect was way more useful than what it was just giving you the answer, because when I got the answer, I found out that 50% of the questions were wrong. Like when I was asking, it would give me what it was, and then it was wrong. But that's because it's like you have like all of these, so you would have like a list of questions, and then all of at the bottom, you're like all of these would be part of the answer.
Yeah.
And then it would have a hard time like implementing that. But it did help me like study like the material, because it gave you kind of like a list of that. And so instead of going through your book and trying to find where that is in the book, you ask it, it brings it up, and then you could just study it off of that instead of having to search.
I agree.
But there's
like
another
that.
thing that I wanted to reply to what you were saying, is that as kind of like in video games, you're always having the developers and the cheaters kind of like having to keep up with each other type thing. And so I feel like with chat, I feel like that's going to be the same thing. As it's been pushed out there, you're going to have other people that are going to be developing to figure out whether it's a chat like that's creating this or a human creating this, and how much of that is in there. So with that being pushed out, you can't have just people just put it in the AI and then they're done. Like they're going to have to do probably what you do, where it's like 50% edit what is presented to them. But still, the process in which that speeds up is so much more than trying to create it from scratch. Because we all know that when you're looking at a blank piece of paper, you know how hard it is to like, how do I start? But the chat part, I think, does the best is getting us started in ideas and thinking. And then from there, we can really just start to build and add on to it. And I think that's more of like the purpose behind that. It being of that application, I think is going to be way more useful.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, CJ?
I would 100%. I would 100% agree. Relationship status single. I would 100% agree. I've actually used the ChatGPT for a lot of things. I actually just finished this last weekend translating my dad's book from Spanish to English, and
Oh yeah, translation. That's
and what I went ahead and did is after the translation was done, I read the book again to make sure that the tone was consistent, and I would say it was about 80% accurate, which was really surprising. I was expecting it to be significantly lower.
Wow.
So I really only had to just change around a few things, but it really saved me a whole bunch of time because it was not only a matter of translating like word for word, but also it's like, I mean, Richard, you know very well, like in Spanish
context could be
there's
lost.
things that like you just like it makes zero sense in English, but
Yeah.
when you translate it, I don't know how ChatGPT did it. There were certain things that would be translated from what my dad would say, and it just made sense.
Mm.
Even though like grammatically it was kind of a little off, it for the most part made sense, and it was really interesting because I did not expect that. But then beyond that, I've also used it for like cold calling sales scripts.
Nice.
So I will essentially try and where I tend to struggle in regards to cold calling is in the aspect of coming up, or rather, in regards to the script making, is in the aspect of making sure that I address a objection before they give it to me.
Mm.
So what I did essentially was I said, create me a cold calling script where these objections, the typical objections, are common. Make sure to sound empathetic and be able to relate emotionally. And then ChatGPT just generated this script that sounded almost perfect. I would say it was about 95% perfect.
Oh, wow.
I really just went in and I just like edited like a couple things that I just like didn't love, but it was small
That's
things.
nice, dude.
Well, you also have
Yeah, it was really
applications to like writing code. You can
Yeah,
use
the
chat.
code writing.
You could do that as
Uh,
well. But it makes me think that if we do all of this, I feel like people are always going to have jobs in these type of fields of like writing and creating
yeah.
stories and articles and writing code. But the more that this has become advanced, the number of people needed to do that is going to be reduced because one person can do now the job of three other people in that span of time
Yeah.
because they could do it so much more efficient and faster using this technology.
I think the book translating, like CJ was saying, like, what the heck? I didn't think about translation yet on it.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. Yeah, and then you compare it to like Google Translation, you're like, how much better is it to some of the
Way better.
yeah, and then you're like, if
Way
that's
better.
the case, and then using that to translate books and other things, and you could probably even do it live, like somebody's talking, or it takes a video and then it just translates it automatically for you. So it just only takes you have to sit there for like 10 minutes. It's translating, and then it's like pops you out the video, and then you're like, okay, there it is translated. And then you listen to it, and then you're like, yes, things are off. But as we, use our human brains, we can discriminate
Tweak it
out, tweak it where it's like,
Mhm.
okay, that's what it probably meant is this.
until it becomes self-aware, which
Yeah.
is it's kind of interesting that the computer. I had a friend that, to finish this topic, by the way, because we're running out of time on this one. It's like he said, until they can write their own code, then we have an issue. And then I was like, bro, they already do. But of course, you have to command it. It's not like it's going to sit there and daydream about code and crap. There's so many other aspects of it that's still not humanoid.
Well, that's
and
that's
whatnot.
with any like
Oh yeah.
code related or AI related stuff is that it needs human input, and it
Yeah.
only could go so far without human input where it needs more human input.
Yeah, so it's definitely far from that, but as a tool, it's good. Let us know. But I think this one applies to this. This is a good transition to the next topic, which this is why we need to be smarter than the fetching tool or the piece of technology, because Wall Street Journal released this article that I think it was well done. Not an article, it was a video at first. I think it is an article too, but I didn't read it because there's a paywall, and I will not pay. But then again, this is contradictory to what I say. The problem why news suck is because it's ads. So who owns the news company? The ads, not us, the viewer or reader. And so henceforth, I have a different topic for next week. I need to write it down. Give me a second. About paying for social media.
Also,
I also have real quick. I have a website that can actually help you get through those paywalls.
Okay. Thank you. We'll talk about after and maybe leave it in the comment section one of the videos.
emphasize on help.
And so the thing is with the iPhone passcode that what has been happening is people at bars and whatnot. The story of the Wall Street Journal is this lady gets her iPhone stolen, and they open Apple Card with it. They make some purchases with it. They lock her out of her Apple ID because the iPhone passcode can reset your Apple ID password. It's a feature you can, if I remember right, turn on, but you can disable it. Let me know in the comment section if you guys have found that out. But the thing is, the article tries to point it out that Apple and the companies like Google, because this also works on Androids, have to do something about it. And I was like, okay, but let's think about that. What can they do? And then the article doesn't say anything, really. It doesn't give like options and what it could do. It just leaves you, go in the comment section and be a keyboard warrior. And I'm like, what else can you do? Biometrically, of course, but I mean, just replace it, right? Make your face be the foundation rather than your password. That's the only solution I personally thought of. By the way, real quick question. Do you guys do 4-digit passcode on your phone?
5-digit?
5 digits, bro? You do 5 digits? How many digits you do, CJ?
It depends on. So you're saying just like my iPhone?
Yeah. How many digits?
Mine's got 6 digits.
6 digits.
Mine's got 6 digits, but I dropped it down from what I had, which was 12.
Whoa, nice, dude.
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
It says here, this guy, let's take it as a grain of salt, but Siddhant Das, thinker and doer on Quora 2 years ago, he said, a 6-digit password has 10 to the 6 possible combinations, million possible combinations. Normal cracking it with a powerful CPU that tries 30 passwords per second would take about 9.5 hours. However, combining a CPU and GPU can accelerate the computing power to about 250 times, therefore making it 7,000 passwords per second to 140 seconds to guess that 6-digit password. Of course, iPhone has the protection that it times you and longer as you fail, and then it locks itself.
Can it
all that good
permanently
stuff.
lock itself until you or not
Sometimes,
permanent,
yeah, I
but
think it reaches itself. I think you can reach a point where I think after the 10th time, I think if you don't have the auto erase, like auto delete everything and lock it down, so you need the Apple ID password in order to get back in there and reset the whole thing, I think it locks itself until you manually erase it, but I can't remember. I had a friend, he brought an iPad to work and it just said locked out. And so I think his kids, for months, this iPad, they just kept using it for a while. They locked it out indefinitely. Can't remember. Make sure you let us know in the comment section below. But that's interesting. The article says that what happens is people at bars will use the passcode, and so someone will record them from afar or around or whatever, or someone will memorize it, and then they'll steal the phone, take it away from them, lock him out of the Apple ID password by resetting it, and then just taking all their information because the passcode overrides Face ID all the time.
yeah, that is true.
Some areas it won't for your Apple ID password, but if they just hurry up and reset the Apple ID password before they hit those walls, then they're in, and you get locked out of everything. So what do you guys think about this? Is it Apple's fault? Is it Google's fault that Android also has this? Or what's up? or just don't go to bars.
Yeah, just don't go to
Just
bars.
don't go to bars.
Like in a public setting, just
No.
check your surroundings, make sure there's not people watching, and then do it, or just be covered. There's actually screen protectors that you could put on that make the viewing angle on that harder to see. But mind you, if someone's recording your finger touch, they could see probably which number you're hitting.
True.
I think the basic security level is if you have a phone that you need to put in the password manually, because it doesn't have the technology to do any type of biometrics, whether it's a fingerprint or Face ID, it means you need to upgrade. Number one.
I like it.
Because biometrics are definitely significantly more secure. Although I do know that some phones, so my iPhone can unlock with my Apple Watch, and I actually turned that off because of the fact that I thought that could be potentially a security risk. Because like if my watch was in close proximity and somebody did steal my phone and I was just not aware of it, and they walked up close enough to me, and they could unlock it using my watch because of my like hand raise.
Yeah.
And I could see that as being like very, very unsafe of me. The reason I actually switched my password from a 12 character, so my password included numbers. Actually, let me just tell you guys my password. No, I'm just kidding. My password included numbers, uppercase and lowercase letters, along with special symbols. And I made sure that it was at least 12 digits, and that's how it is for most of my passwords on most of my accounts.
Yeah, that's kind of
and it's specifically for security purposes. My dad works in security, so I understand the fact that like those passwords, not only do they need to be long, they need to be complex, and they need to be changed with some level of frequency, and they should not be the same for different things.
Yeah.
So my social medias have one password, my banking has another password, my personal information has another password, and it's just like if I could use I feel like the iPhone auto-generated passwords, I don't really trust them. Like, just because it's so hard to like transfer that password from like device to device to device.
Not
So
if you're in
it's
the
like-
Apple Garden, bro.
Well, yes, but I feel like at that point that in and of itself is not secure.
Oh, I feel
know?
you. Yeah.
Because it's like
Okay.
if I like get my laptop stolen, and they could just like they know my password. Now they know my passwords to all the stuff, even on my iPhone, and it's like, well,
Okay. I like it. Segregation.
not the solution. Yeah,
Compartmentalization,
exactly.
separation.
But I've been looking into using the I think it's an app or a website, the NordPass, where it's like essentially they like secure and encrypt all your passwords behind another password.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, is that overkill? Do I have that much information that I need to secure?
Yeah, it's just you bring a good point. Is how much do you need, and how targeted do you think you are? And yeah, it depends. I think there is a baseline, and then you just go from there. It's kind of like, and I think that's where the companies accept that you're selling this thing, even though it's $1,000, you're selling it to some idiot who all he wants is to watch YouTube, and so he'll do an easy code. And then you have some political figure that needs it to be as secure as possible. That's why they released the lockdown mode, where it disables a lot of the cookie. I think it locks down Safari, where it can only surf, and it changes every time. So there's no remembering websites whatsoever. It's better than private browsing and all that, which private browsing is, in my opinion, it's a joke, but it's funny that they call it that. But yeah.
Private browsing to make you feel better.
Yeah. And so I think the practice that I mentioned in the article is, for one, don't put your passcode in public when you're at the bar or whatever. If it doesn't scan your face, then cover the screen or go into the bathroom and type it in or something. if it's really that important to you. And then don't use Android's face scanners; they don't work. You can do a picture with most of those, and it'll break them.
Okay.
Always use Touch ID or your finger scanner,
Or
and watch who your friends are. Because if you're getting your phone stolen, well, I guess it was an actual crime group trying to do this, and I think that in New York, I think it's the article saying that this group of thieves, they discovered they could do this, and so
Yeah.
they've
So
done it.
don't go to bars and don't live in New York. New York.
Yeah, stay away from New York. Godzilla's
I
gonna come.
think what's also crazy is the fact that like we as a society have transitioned to, well, what can the people who have more money than us do? It's like, well, why don't you do something?
That's true. I mean, you're typing in your password at the bar. It's kind of like anywhere really public, and then you don't understand.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it's like your Apple Watch, for those people trying to understand that one. The way it works is when the phone can't scan your face and you have an Apple Watch that's nearby linked to it, it'll compensate for the lack of data and then it'll unlock it. And so technically you could, if I remember right, it depends if you have the eye awareness feature turned on, but someone could, when you're sleeping, they could just open your eyes or whatever, which by that time, dude, if someone's opening your eye while you're sleeping, you better wake up or you're in
You deserve it to be stolen.
Hey, couldn't you do like rotational passcodes? So within a certain like amount of hours from each other, it'll rotate your passcodes. So say you have like
that'll be
5
interesting.
passcodes or 3 passcodes, and then it'll rotate every so hours, and it'll indicate on like say a color or something else, so you know which password's tied to what. But someone's trying to break in your phone doesn't know that.
I did.
So like
That
they
is an
only have a
interesting
limited
feature.
time to try to break into it during that moment, and then it can go to another time, and then they don't know. Well, I guess they could just sit there and wait until it rotates through.
It's like, but they don't. Dude, that's $1 million idea. The WWDC. Just wait. Apple one day is going to see rotating passcodes. Boom. And then they're not going to send a check your way, dude. We need to patent that.
Or you just make the passcode really long. Like it's required to have it really long with those characters and everything else in it. But it's default using the Face ID. So if the Face ID is not working, then you have to put it in. But there's so many cases where if I had to do that, it would suck on a job site, because sometimes I have my face covered and other things like that, and it doesn't work. So then I have to put the passcode in.
Yeah, I think eventually we will. I think the solution long term is just make biometrics the default, and your password is the safe one.
Yeah.
If you want to enable that. Yeah, it's weird though. It's like, imagine your face can't get scanned and you didn't put a passcode reset. You're done, bro. Your face is ugly. Not even the computers can scan it.
I thought about it. What if you were like a burn victim and then you couldn't access your phone?
That would suck. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think on the subject. That is our podcast for today. Make sure you follow us on all socials and stay frosty, stay safe, stay secure, and enjoy happiness. Don't let the mind buyers tell you that Harry Potter is evil, because it is. Anyway, talk to you later, guys.
And change your passwords.
Yeah, CG, like he said, change your passwords.